Paulo post Romani, qui iam dudum superbiam Tarquinii regis atque filiorum aegre ferebrant, ita scelere quodam sextus Tarquinii concatati sunt, ut regiam familiam in exilium pellere statuerint. Okay, so first we have Paulo, which is ablative, and it is an ablative of degree of difference, showing how far afterwards. How far afterwards? A little bit afterwards. Romani is our subject, so we will underline that. And then we have a relative clause describing the Romans, which of course is going to end at this comma. So let's see. Romani, okay, iam dudum, adverbial stuff. Superbiam, oh look, here is a direct object. So the Romans who were something, doing something, and then we have a genitive phrase describing the superbium, right? Something about the haughtiness or arrogance of King Tarquin and of his sons. What are the Romans doing? Oh, and here's your verb, ferebant. So who were ferebant aegre, were taking badly, not sickly, but badly. What were they taking badly? The superbium. Whose superbium? Tarquinii regis atque filiorum. So we've got this clause describing the subject, but we're still waiting to see what the subject, our Romans, are doing. Well, before we find out what they're doing, we should take note of this word ita, because it is a word that usually introduces a result clause. In this way, or thus, notice the result clause is down here with this ut and subjunctive verb. So, thus, scelere, ablative. By a certain crime, because of a certain crime, on account of a certain crime. We don't know for sure, but we know that it's ablative, so we'll have to hold that thought. Then we've got a genitive, sextus Tarquinius. Oh, it's probably his crime, because, the Tarquins are not the nicest guys in the world. That's genitive also describing the scelere. And then here's our main verb. So we've got Romani concitati sunt, and we're going to underline that main verb. The Romans were incited this way, thus, by a certain crime. They were so irritated that, and then here's our result clause, that what? Regiam familiam, there's our direct object. Oh, prepositional phrase, in exilium, and then pellere is an infinitive, dependent on the main verb statuerint. They were so irritated that they decided to do this to the royal palace and then into exile. Not the royal palace, the royal family. So this next part is going to explain what the Tarquins did that was so awful that the Romans decided to get rid of them. Tarquinius Collatinus, sorore Tarquinii superbi natus, in cantuberno juvenem regiorum Ardei erat, cum forte in liberore convivio conjugam suam unus quisque laudaret, placuit experiri. Okay, we have a new character, Tarquinius Collatinus. Do not get him mixed up with Tarquinius Superbus or Sextus Tarquinius. This is a brand new character, Tarquinius Collatinus. And then we have this phrase describing him. And who is he? Well, let's see. We've got an ablative, something about the sister of Tarquinius Superbus. Oh, and then here's the thing. Tarquinius Collatinus, natus, born from whom? From sorore Tarquinii Superbi. So he is related to the royal family. Notice Tarquinius Superbus is genitive modifying sorore. So we have to keep going to find out more. All we know so far is that Collatinus is a subject. He is born from the sister of Tarquinius Superbus, but we don't know anything else. So if we keep going, we see we've got this prepositional phrase. Notice UNOM here is genitive modifying the contubernio. Okay, regiorum Ardei. All right, so this is our main verb, erat. So this guy, Collatinus, erat, where was he? At Ardea, at the Ardean region, and apparently hanging out in this area of it. What about him? Well, we've got cum. Oh dear, is this when, since, because, sometimes, although, or with? Well, looking at really quickly, we can see, obviously, it's not going to be with, because forte here is an adverb, not an ablative noun. So cum cannot be a preposition because we've got a prepositional phrase over here. So cum has got to be introducing some sort of cum clause here. So we're going to bracket that off. And we're going to see that that cum clause is going to end at laudaret, at that subjunctive verb. So we've eliminated with, that leaves when, since, because, or although. It's not although because we don't have anything else in this phrase with a however. So it's got to be the whole when, since, because thing. So we will keep going and see. So forte, adverb. Liberore convivio, that looks like a prepositional phrase there. Conjugem, that is the direct object. So the subject is probably, well, here's the subject, these nominative guys here. So hold on, we'll bracket out our direct object. Conjugem suam. Unus quisque, each one of them, each guy. Laudaret, okay, there's your verb. So you've got the subject of this cum clause is when. Unus quisque laudaret conjugem suam. So each guy was doing this. So is it a since or because? Well, if it's a because, if it's a causal clause, it's going to answer the reason why the main part of the sentence happens. Or if it's just circumstantial, when this was going on, it would kind of explain the circumstances, but not necessarily answer the question why. So we're going to have to keep going to determine. Okay, it was pleasing to find out. There is our main verb. Notice placuit here is impersonal. The subject is it. It was pleasing to find out. And I think that this here is just a circumstantial clause because this cum clause doesn't really answer the question, why was it pleasing to find out? Itaqui equis Romam petunt. So these guys were over here drinking, having a good time, and they decided to head back to Rome. And so, equis, that's ablative. Romam, it's saying where they're going. And petunt is your main verb. Notice Romam is the direct object of petunt. That's from way back in the olden days, petit. Remember, that can be to head for, attack, or seek, depending on the context. Regias nurus in convivio vel luxu deprehendunt. Okay, do not get mixed up with the word nurus here. Nurus is a feminine fourth declension noun. What is that us? Well, since we've got the word regias modifying it, that helps us to clarify it's probably accusative plural. So the royal daughters-in-law, in other words, the women of the household in the royal family. And notice these are both accusative, so that's your direct object. We'll bracket that off. Over here we have a prepositional phrase. And notice it's got two things, either in convivio or, well, luxu. And then deprehendunt is your main verb, and the subject of this, of course, is those guys, Calatinus and the other young men that were up here. So they all find regias nurus in this prepositional phrase. Et inde Calatium petunt. So first they went there, and then those guys head for Calatium. That means they head for Calatinus's wife. They went to go see what she was up to. And then here is her name, Lucretiam. Lucretiam uxorum Calatini inter ancilas in lanificio offendunt, itaque ea pudicissima judicator. Okay, so Lucretia is accusative. Why is she accusative? Because she's the direct object of something. So we'll find out what's going on here. But before we find out what she's the direct object of, we have this phrase describing her, a noun in apposition describing that. Calatini, of course, is genitive, modifying uxorum to explain whose wife she is. So we'll keep going here. Inter ancilas, okay, prepositional phrase 1, and another prepositional phrase 2. So we still haven't figured out, what she's the direct object of, but here it is, offendant. So Calatinus and the Eumenes are the subject, and they offendant Lucretia. Do not check that word and say that it means to offend, because that makes absolutely no sense. So don't get mixed up by that. And so, ea, nominative, singular, and it's of course referring to Lucretia. So she is judged pudicissima. She is judged to be pudicissima. Notice that superlative there. Ad quam corrumpendam Sextus Tarquinius nocte calatiam rediet, et iure propinquatus in domum Calatini venit, et in cubiculum Lucretiae irrupit, pudicitiam expugnavit. Oh, I cannot believe I have to go through this sentence with you. It is not pleasant. It's okay grammatically, but the actual action in the sentence is very disturbing on multiple levels. Okay, so we have ad plus an nd word, which we've learned before, means for the purpose of. So for the purpose of doing this to her, Lucretia. Sextus Tarquinius is our subject. Nocte, ablative of time when. Calatiam, that's locative, meaning to Calatinus's house. And this is what he did. So Sextus Tarquinius rediet, where did he go? Here, when? At night. Why? For this purpose. So he's a really bad guy. And what else did he do? According to, this is ablative here, according to the law of this sort of, I don't think it was a written law, but probably understood, the law of being a relative, because remember, he is the cousin of Lucretia's husband, according to the law of being a relation. And then we have a prepositional phrase here. Into whose house? Calatinus's house. Okay, he did this. And, oh, this is where it gets really disturbing. Okay, into the bedroom. Whose bedroom? Right there. He did that. And then notice we do not have a connector here. Our author left out another et, probably for emphasis. That is called asyndeton, where you leave out a connector that is expected. What else did the evil Sextus Tarquinius do? He expugnavit, and then this is the direct object. Illa postero die advocatis patre et conjuge rem in his verbis exposuit. Okay, so after this disturbing event, we see what Illa does, and that, of course, is Lucretia. When does she do it? During this ablative of time when. Okay, advocatis is a participle. Notice it's ablative. So we're probably starting with an ablative absolute, and here it is, patre et conjuge. Notice advocatis is plural because the antecedent is the antecedent includes two guys, patre et conjuge, and we always translate an ablative absolute with noun participle, with these guys, since this is passive, having been that. Okay, so we're still waiting to see what she does. Rem, okay, direct object here. And the rem probably refers to all this horrible stuff that happened to her the previous night. His verbis, this is not an ablative absolute, it's just boring demonstrative adjective modifying an ablative noun. And she did this. So she explained, exposed, revealed the rem with these words. So let's see what she says. Vestigia viri alieni Calatine in lecto sunt tuo. Caterem corpus est tantum violatum, animus insons mors testis erit. Okay, so vestigia is a neuter noun. It is either nominative or accusative plural, so we have to hold that in our head until we get more information to find out. The vestigia is right there, and then we've got a genitive modifying that. Who's vestigia? Of a, not an alien, but of some other guy. Calatine, of course, is vocative because she's addressing her husband. In lecto, prepositional phrase. Tuo also modifies lecto, and then sunt is your main verb. Okay, so since your main verb is a linking verb, it's not going to take a direct object, so vestigia must be the subject. Subject, the vestigia of some other guy, are there in your lecto, Calatinus. Okay, ceterum corpus, oh my gosh, another neuter noun. Again, we don't know if it is going to be nominative or accusative, so we have to wait for more information. But we do know that it goes together, so we're going to chunk that off. Ceterum corpus, and I think tantum also modifies the corpus. Okay, I would tend to say that this is definitely going to be the subject, with the verb being violatum est. The rest, the entire body, violatum est. So that's a passive verb. Okay, and now she's going on. Animus insons, two nominatives there. Mors testis erit. So we've got a linking sentence here. and the erit is understood to be over here too. Notice erit over here is future tense, except I think the understood erit over here is really est or erat, is really present or past tense, imperfect tense. Said, date dexteras fidemque, haud impune adultero fore. Okay, so she's continuing her statement, but date, notice there's your imperative verb, and it's plural because she is addressing Calatinus and her dad. Give what? Give dexteras. Okay, so when you're saying to give right hands, that means to make a promise. So she wants them to do two things. She wants them to promise, and she's referring to the right hand and a faith or an oath. And this entire thing is going to introduce an indirect statement, because if you promise something, you kind of say it, and that's a kissing verb, so you say that something, and here it is, our indirect statement. Watch out here. Haud is an adverb, which is like scarcely, other words, not. Impune is neuter, nominative or accusative, but since we're inside indirect statement, we're expecting an accusative. And what is impune? I think it's a subject of this infinitive, fore. So, fore is the future infinitive of sum. We'll write that down. Future infinitive. And it means will be because we're inside indirect statement. So this will be, will not be impune, punished, or unpunished, adultero, and this is a dative probably. It will not be unpunished for the adulterer. So what we really have here, it looks like a dative of possession, because we have a subject, a form of the verb of being, and a dative. So the adulterer will not have impunity is probably a better way to say it. Sextus est Tarquinius, qui hostus pro hospite priore nocte vi armatus mihi sibique, si vos viri estis pestiferum hinc obstulit gaudium. Okay, so now she names the perpetrator of the deed. The bad guy, the adultero that she just mentioned here, is Sextus Tarquinius. So there is one clause, and then we get a big ginormous relative clause describing all the things that happened. Who, when he was a guest, because remember he's their relative, which is really creepy, when he was a guest, pro hospite, that is a prepositional phrase, priore nocte, another ablative of time when, and then we have this word armatus, which of course is nominative singular, modifying the qui hostus. Armed with what? With we. Don't get that word mixed up. It's not guys, but it is from vis, we, irregular noun, meaning force. Okay, so armed with force. Mihi sibique looks like datives. We'll have to see what those are going with. And then she throws in, if you guys are really guys, what did he do? Sextus Tarquinius, who, hostus, we're still waiting for all this stuff. He abstulit. Okay, and the direct object of abstulit, of course, is pestiferum gaudium. So abstulit is to steal. So, and here, hinc just means in this place or here. So she's saying, which guest, armed with force, stole pestiferum gaudium? Who did he steal it from? Mihi sibique. Dant ordine omnes fidem. Consolator aegram animi advertendo noxum ab coacta in auctorum delecti. Okay, so dant, notice we've got a plural verb, so we're probably talking about the people, Calatinus and the father, whom Lucretia is addressing. So dant ordine, in turn, in order. Omnes, there's our subject. I don't know why they bothered to put it there, but they did. Okay, and then fidem, of course, is your direct object. So this sentence says, omnes dant fidem, in turn, in order. Okay, consolantur, we're still continuing with what they're doing. Notice consolantur is a deponent verb, but that doesn't trick you. Okay, aegram, that is your direct object. And notice that's feminine because it's talking about Lucretia. Who else would be sick and feeling yucky? Okay, so what's up with this genitive animi here? I think it is talking about how she feels yucky, because you can be sick in a genitive. So she's probably feeling sick in her spirit. Okay, so They are consoling the one who is sick in her spirit. How are they doing it? What methods are they using? They're using a gerund. Notice this advertendo. It is an ND word. It is a noun, not an adjective, because there's nothing to modify it. They are consoling her by averting what? The direct object of the gerund is noxium, the guilt. They're turning the guilt from the one having been forced towards the originator of the bad thing. So they're consoling the one who's sick in her spirit by averting the guilt from the forced person. Notice perfect active participle. They're turning the guilt from the forced person into the author of the deed. And then over here, well, we'll continue this on the next page. Okay, mentem peccare non corpus et unde concilium affuerit culpam ab esse. So our author here has jumped straight into indirect statement without introducing it with a main kissing verb, because the context tells us the guys, the father and the husband said this, but the author is assuming that you've been following along, so he doesn't give you the dekunt or anything like that. It's kind of understood. So they tell her that, and here are the things they tell her. Number 1, mentem peccare. Notice you've got your accusative infinitive. Number 2, non corpus, and the infinitive peccare is understood to be over here as well. So it is the mind that does this, not the body. He gives us a little dependent clause in there. That's why it's not in the accusative infinitive, because inside indirect statement, dependent clauses can have regular verbs or finite verbs. And then the third thing that they say is this, culpam ab esse. So number 1, number 2 accusative infinitive, and number 3 accusative infinitive with a dependent clause in the middle. And when the plan or the, in this instance, I would probably even say consent is absent, then this thing is also absent. Okay, and then we're jumping back into Lucretia's statement, and we know that because inquit is singular. Vos videritus quid illi debetur. So let's see. Vos, of course, is a subject of videritus. Quid is a subject of debetur. What is owed or to be done? Illi refers to the evil Sextus Tarquinius. Ego me etsi peccato absolvo, supplicio non libero. Nec ulla dienda impudica Lucretiae exemplo vivet. Okay, so ego is a subject. Me, that is probably the direct object, so we're expecting a first-person verb with ego. Even if, and then we have an ablative here. Even if I, oh, here's your main verb, absolve myself. Peccato is probably an ablative of separation. And then over here, it's understood that me is a direct object because they're giving us a parallel construction. Even if I absolve myself from this, I do not free the understood myself from punishment. Okay, and then in this part of the sentence, Lucretia switches subjects. Ulla impudica. So notice this is feminine, nominative singular, ulla and impudica, and it is modifying something that's unstated. So it is a substantive adjective modifying any other immodest, i.e. understood woman. Nor then does any or will any immodest woman. Notice vivet here is future tense. Third conjugation, future tense, has that e there. Nor will she live, extemplo, probably ablative. And then Lucretia goes with extemplo, genitive singular, modifying extemplo. So she's saying, I do not want to be an example for anyone else. And then what happens? Se cultro quam veste texerat occidit. Well, that's kind of a quick escalation of things. Se, of course, is your direct object. With what? So she does something to herself. We don't know what yet. Cultro is ablative there. And then we have this little relative clause describing the cultro. Let's see. With that thing, which, so that's accusative. Lucretia is the subject of texerat, which she had done this to, by means of or with that. And then here is the main verb. So Lucretia okita say with a cultro, which she had done something to in her West Day. Illi in exitium regum coniura verent, eorumque exilio necum Lucretiae vindica verent. Okay, Illi here refers to the men who were with Lucretia when this happened. That would be her husband and father. Prepositional phrase here. What did the guys do? Here's the verb explaining what they did. And what else did they do? Well, they did it with this ablative, eorumque. Probably this here refers to Tarquin and his family. So by the exile of those guys, Illi vindica verent, direct object, and then Lucretia is a genitive modifying necum. Tum primum verum ingenium bruti apertum est. Okay, tum primum adverbial. Verum ingenium, verum modifies ingenium there. And so does bruti. This is, verum ingenium is your subject, and then your verb is here, apertum est. Eo enim duce populus iuravit, se neque Tarquinium, nec alium quemque regnare Romae passurum esse. Okay, we're starting out with an ablative absolute here. Notice it is a pronoun and a noun in the ablative as opposed to the usual participle in a noun. With him as leader, with a him being Brutus. So we'll put that arrow there. What happened while he was leading? Oh, here's your subject, the populace, iuravit. Iuravit is an interesting word because that is a kissing verb, knowing, sensing, or saying. So you swear by saying something. So the Roman populace swore that, and that introduces our indirect statement. And it is going to start here and end here. So we're looking for accusatives and infinitives. So say refers back to the populace. The people swore that they what? Well, whatever they do, it's not Tarquinius and it's not anyone else. Those look probably like direct objects. So we'll have to keep going to see regnare, to rule. At Rome, passurum esse. Oh, there's your infinitive. So the subject of your indirect statement is that they swore that they would not passurum allow. They would not allow direct object 1 or direct object 2 to do this thing at Rome. So one more time. The people swore that they would allow neither Tarquinius nor anyone else to do this at Rome. Okay, moving on. Brutus inde in castra profectus est, ubi exercitus Romanus ardeam caput rutulorum obsedebet. Okay, so we're back to Brutus. Well, what's he going to be doing? Wherever he's going to do it, it has this prepositional phrase involved. Notice profectus est is your deponent verb. Brutus profectus est to the camps. So he went off to the military. And this ubi clause here is describing where the camps were. So let's see. It goes to there. Where exercitus Romanus, there's your subject. Ardeam, that's your direct object. And this phrase, the caput rutulorum, is describing the town of Ardea. So we will circle that and draw an arrow there. Where the Roman army was obsedebat, was doing this thing to Ardea, which is the caput rutulorum. So that is the end of your ubi clause. Okay. Tulliam reginam, remember her? Tullia, the one who ran over her dad's body with a chariot. Tulliam reginam domo profugientem omnes viri mulieres quae execrati sunt. Okay, so Queen Tullia is a direct object or something because she's accusative. You notice that am. What about Queen Tullia? Oh, well, here it is, profugientem. So this whole phrase is your direct object. She is running away. From where? From domo. And then here's your subject. Omnes vir, all the men and women. There's your subject, and then here's your two-part verb. It's probably a deponent verb, which would make sense because you have a direct object. Subject, deponent verb, direct object. Ubi nuntii haram rerum in castra perlati sunt, rex Romam perexit. Okay, we have another ubi clause, which is a when. Sounds temporal to me. Okay, subject, nuntii, messengers of what? Of these things. Prepositional phrase, main verb right there. ubi nuntii perlati sunt, my bad, nuntii harum rerum perlati sunt, into the camps. Okay, rex, new subject, nominative there. Romam, locative to Rome. Perexit, your main subject. So rex, perexit to Rome. Brutus adventum regis sensit flexitque viam. So we've got all this stuff going on. Everybody's trying to probably control the military because it sounds like there's a revolution going on and you need military power. So Brutus is the subject. Adventum, direct object. Regis talks about adventum. Sensit is verb 1. So Brutus, sensit adventum regis. And que, what else did he do? Flexit viam. So he changed his course, probably. Ita eodem vere tempore diversis itineribus Brutus Ardeam Tarquinius Romam venerant. Okay, so we've got two different guys doing different things. And according to this, thus, eodem tempore, that means that's an ablative of time when, at the same time, but not exactly. Fere, which is like at nearly the same time. Okay, diversis itineribus, boring. Non-adjective pair, ablative, so by means of different routes. Brutus, something about Ardea. Tarquinius, something about Rome. Oh, there it is. They got to those places. So Brutus went to this city. Tarquinius went there. Let's see what happens. Hic portas clausas invenit. Hic, remember, always refers to the last thing in a group, in a pair. So Brutus was thing 1. Tarquinius is thing 2. Hic refers to thing 2, which is Tarquinius. Hic portas clausas invenit, brutum liberatorum urbis laeta castra acceperant, exactique sunt liberi regis. Okay, we will stop at that semicolon. So what happened to Tarquinius? He, subject, verb invenit, direct object here. Notice clausas is a participle modifying portas. And Brutus here is an accusative. So something happens to him, and it happens, Brutus, the liberator. Notice this is matching in case, so we probably have some sort of factative sentence going on. Liberatorum goes with urbis. Urbis is modifying. He is the liberator of the city. Laeta castra. Oh, there's your subject. The happy camps. Accepted. They received Brutus as the liberator. And what else happened here? Que, that is connecting. Here it is. The children of the king were exacti. So there's that. And then we will keep going, talking about probably what happened to the kids of the king, because remember, everybody's mad at the whole family right now. Duo patrum secuti exules advenerant caere, quae urbs Etrusca erat. So first of all, let's talk about these guys. 2 of the king's kids, what did they do? Patrum is accusative. Secuti, that is a participle from a deponent verb, having followed their dad. So secuti is nominative plural, and it matches the 2. So the 2 guys having followed their dad, and they arrived. Where did they end up? At Caere. And how were they when they ended up? Exules, nominative plural, talking about the 2. They arrived there as exiles. So apparently they got away from Rome. And then we're getting more information about Caere here. It's an Etruscan city. Okay, but remember, Tarquinius has this other evil son, Sextus. Let's see what happens to him. Sextus Tarquinius Gabios, tamquam in suum regnum, profectos ab altoribus veterum injuriarum quas ipse intulerat interfectus est. Okay, we've got Tarquinius Sextus as a subject, and we have Gabios as a locative, Sextus Tarquinius to which place, and now we're describing Gabios as if into his own kingdom, because he had so much power there or something. Profectus, profectus, that's a participle, having set out, probably for Gabios, having set out for that place, as if into his own kingdom. So profectus, of course, modifies evil Sextus. And then we've got a prepositional phrase, and it's kind of important to remember. Ab by the Avengers. Like Iron Man? No, not quite. But notice it's ab, by people who are avenging. And what are they avenging? They're avenging the old injury. Because remember, he did all sorts of bad stuff in Gabii. So by the avengers of the old injury. So there's a prepositional phrase, and we have something modifying those old injuries. Quas ipse intulerat. So something about, that's Sextus again, which he himself had done. Oh, he was killed. Yay! So the main sentence is Sextus Tarquinius was killed, interfectus est, by those guys who were mad about those things which he had done. So one more pass at this. Sextus Tarquinius, having set out for Gabios as if into his own kingdom, he was killed by the avengers of those old crimes which he himself had done. Okay, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus regnavit annos quinque viginti. So the kings are no more, and this is just a little end to the passage talking about how long he ruled. And this, of course, is an excusative of an extent of time. He ruled for that many years. Regnum Romae annos ducentos quadraginta duraverat. So we're talking about the period of the monarchy. How long was the monarchy at Rome? How long had it endured? For this period of time. That's kind of a big number. Duo consules inde creati sunt, Lucius Junius Brutus et Lucius Tarquinius Collatanus. Okay, so since we no longer have kings, remember now we have this position. The two consuls then were made, and the very first two consuls were Brutus, remember him, and Tarquinius Collatinus. And Tarquinius Collatinus, as you will recall, is the husband of the now dead Lucretia. So from her death, these guys launched their political careers, and the Roman Republic is born.